This conference will now be recorded.
All right, good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, August 20th, and as always, everything that we're going to be talking about today is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. So, as I said, we have a pretty big list out there this morning, a bunch of stuff going on from earnings to just a little bit of movement. So, first thing going to be looking at is BIDU. As we can see, they took a pretty big jump during, after earnings. We going up from our 104.25 level all the way up to our highs right here, about 115.50-ish, right in that area. But coming into this morning on the bigger side of prints, if you look at AM, we pretty much haven't had really much that came into this thing besides selling. And it's not really a lot of selling. It's just very early. We could see 114.50 we had at 648 this morning, 650, 7 and 701. So we know that's definitely going to have a huge difficulty of trade within it, because if you look at the orders right now and how thin that they are, that is a pretty substantial position being taken. And then there's just been a little bit of kind of a mix and a little bit of selling kind of leaking out ever since then. So we're already kind of past, down past where we would start to expect that 114.50. We'd expect about $1. But overall, based off that difficulty of trade, going to be expecting probably more than that, but we would have started with our dollar. So we're going to need to see new selling to come into this thing as it comes towards the support level right here at about 112.50. And then even the support level that we have sitting right there at about 113. So there's a little bit to break down. We're going to need new selling to show us to be able to break that down. But then there's a lot of room back towards that downside based off of the support levels that we just went over. So definitely going to be watching that one pretty closely this morning. Next thing is SRPT. So SRPT, we can see taking a substantial hit, closed at 120.31 all the way down to right now 98.60. And this is one of those things, again, where it's been a bit of a mix coming into it. So I'm not going to go with the pre-market, but coming into the morning, coming to this morning, you can see 100. We're definitely getting some covering that's coming into this. And the reason I say covering is because I'm assuming that they obviously that they had a pretty substantial position, the stock moving almost $25 towards that downside. All right, so overall, we haven't really seen a ton of new selling. We just got a little bit in there as as we started our meeting, right, 98.15 to 98.50, which is just not really going to be enough. Now, the orders are non-existent. You can see the spread right here is 98.25 to 98.87. So, I mean, that's a gigantic spread that we see with really no orders. So that is a substantial selling that we see. I just obviously want to see a little bit more coming in, especially underneath that 100, because breaking under 100 is a very big deal, and it's not an easy thing for it to be able to hold underneath that 100. You have investors that are going to want to get that thing back into that triple digit. So just need a little bit of new selling, but that 98.50 definitely giving us a little bit of a show of hand. We're pulling up from there right now. But perfect case scenario would be for us to break a little bit over that 100 and then trigger back down underneath it. Next thing is KSS. So Kohl's. Not the prettiest of stocks out there, but one thing that I do like is if we come into the earlier morning, you can see that it was a little bit mixed until we started getting some really nice selling bursts. We have that 50.25, and then that 50 is a big spot to see this much selling coming in, especially with the orders being so thin. Now, obviously, we're already about $1.50 away from that 50 level, and we're still continuing back down. But 842, you can see we really never got that, the substantial pull up that we would have liked. 842 right here, you can see just a little bit, not as much on that downside. So overall, I wouldn't be shocked to see some type of riders coming back in to try to play that pull up back up above that 50 level. Now, we also know 50 is a huge psychological level. It's going to be a hard level for it to be able to hold, as well as we could see coming into this morning. So we need a little bit of a better show of hand just because of the fact that we're already so far down past that 50, but never got the real pull up. So would expect some type of pull up as long as those riders start to come back in before we'd really get to see that move breaking down underneath that 50. And you can see we just had some people coming at 49. So going to be expecting a little bit of a move down continuing because of those aspirins that we just said come in, and then from there coming back up towards that, coming back towards those 50 prints. Next thing is TJX. So TJX took another one that looks like it had earnings, took a pretty substantial hit. Now this one's a little bit cleaner, to be completely honest. If we come back over and just look at what's happened during this morning time, you can see that 50 definitely has some strong selling that came into it. We're still pretty much sitting right there. You get a little bit of mix, but remember, we're not going to be worried about that covering that's coming in. We're going to be looking at the pull up. We're going to be looking at those as riders, considering the fact that we have those prints at that 50, we're going to be looking for that pull up above before trigger back towards that downside. But the more riders we see coming in, the higher we're going to be expecting for to pull up above that 50 before getting a real trigger back down for that person to really make their money that came in at the 50 bid level. Next one looking at is SE. So SE is another one where it's taking a pretty big hit. 36, it closed at 36. This morning opened up at 38, and then we came all the way back down to pretty much at 30.50 level so far. But another one where it's a little bit mixed in the 32 area. And when I say a little bit, it's a lot of bit. I mean, you could see we have some nice selling coming in, then we have some nice buying coming in, then we have some really nice selling coming in. So remember, we know that buying is going to happen. We know that people are going to be covering and taking profits after a substantial amount. So it's really about that new selling, and we have no lack thereof. But overall, based off the amount of selling that we keep seeing coming into that 32, I'm really going to have to expect a move back towards that upside before we end up coming back down to any, to essentially the amount of selling we're seeing. Probably, the most logical price target would be that 30 level, because we're already so close to it. And then obviously after breaking 31, it's going to act as a very strong magnet, especially with this much selling up above it. So a little bit of a pull up from there, going to be looking for that trigger back down to satisfy those 32 prints. And then HD is the last one that I got. All right, so HD, we know it moves $3.23 each day. It's got good volume. We know it's going to be a big mover today. One of the things that we saw early this morning, which it's coming in, okay, right here is at that 212 level. We've had some nice buying. We really, then it can a little bit of a mix there, and then 2150. So we are getting buying coming in, 212.50. We are getting buying coming in higher from where it originally started at that 738, which is showing us that they do still think it's worth it up above. Those prints that came in at 212, we're going to have to assume are going to be riders to the downside, because it does need to pull back based off of the amount of prints at that 212 after pulling back up, coming back up. Most logical spot's going to be looking around that 215 area. So another one where it's got some good prints. It's just a little bit mixed. We got a lot of nice big prints from market makers out there, but unfortunately we got both sides of it on a lot of the stuff that we're looking at. HGV has a great show of hands. Let's take a look. HGV. Where? HGV, is that the right ticker? Are we talking about the 2500? I mean, this is all this AM. So we have 2500, 25,000, 25,000, 20,000, 15,000, all of that. And then 31 early this morning. Okay, so it definitely has the prints there. My biggest problem is it going to trade? Because usually it trades about 2.5 million. The volume is great this morning, but I'll definitely put that on our side list, because it does have a beautiful show of hand at that 31. It's just, is it going to actually trade once the market opens? So we'll keep an eye on that one as well. Anything else out there that I missed? Yes, without a doubt, it does seem longer term, without a shadow of a doubt. But if it starts to trade, look at that. I mean, it definitely has the ability to have a range. It's got some good stuff there. BYND, I have no interest in, to be honest with you. It's moving just like everything that it usually does in the morning. You got a mix at 155. I don't see anything there this morning for us to really make any type of decisions on. Plus, BYND just hasn't been trading any volume. There's just been way better stuff out there actually trading volume than BYND. So. If we, once again, I mean, it's got a great range. So if we do see it start to actually trade, then, I have no problem looking at it. But if, like, you look at yesterday, look, I mean, you have one bar and that's at 4 o'clock over basically, 60,000 shares. It's just not going to do it. Especially with a stock that is that volatile. You definitely want to make sure that you have volume being traded within it. Don't talk about BYND when we have 5 other stocks. Well, there's just no reason to. Absolutely no reason when we have a ton of stuff that's going on out there. All right, guys, so a long list. Let's make sure that we narrow it down. We find our perfect case scenario trades. We have a game plan for exactly what we expect to do. Let's make sure we work that game plan once the market opens. I will talk to everyone in the chat, and happy trading.